Can I please see one movie this month that doesn't involve people eating other people? Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is the post-Geekout reaction for Kingsman, The Golden Circle. And if you didn't see our post-Geekout reaction for Mother, that's what that was all about. Mild spoiler for Mother. So, hey, Michelle, can you do me a quick favor?
Hmm?
Is that red light on right now?
Yes, it is.
Thank God. So I'm gonna let you guys know where I'm coming from. Oh, by the way, the post-Geekout reaction, it's not a review. In a review, I sit down and I make sure that there are no spoilers. The post-Geekout reaction is just our open, honest discussion about the thing that we just saw, and that does include full spoilers. Had to get that out of the way. I'm just gonna let you guys know where I'm coming from in this discussion. Two places. First one is I actually did not see the first Kingsman.
Neither did I. In fact, I didn't even realize there was a first movie.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Wow. But yeah, so I didn't see the first Kingsman because it was one of those films I was like, I know people are saying it's really good, but I'm always kind of hesitant about anything based on Mark Millar property because I know some people out there love Mark Millar. I like Mark Millar when he's restrained, and in the past couple of years, he has been full-blown Millar. He has not held himself back at all. So I'm always hesitant about anything based on one of his properties, but everybody kept saying it was good, so I was like, all right, maybe I should see it, but I just never got around to it. And at the time, I was not hosting a movie review show for a living. Still weird for me to say that, but it actually is a living at this point. But yeah, so I didn't actually see that. And this one kind of snuck up on me before I could get around to seeing the first one. So I was like, all right, well, I gotta see it. So I want you guys to know I didn't see the first one. So all of my little reviews and reactions and opinions on this thing, why did I take so long to think of the word opinion? All my opinions on this film are based on someone who did not see the first film. And I think that that is an important distinction to make because so many people have been complaining about this film. And I've heard so many critics out there really hating this movie. But all the ones who are really hating it are saying, and in the first one, and comparing it to the first one, well, this isn't like the first one. I don't have that. Not saying those are bad critiques to make. Mm-hmm. They are totally valid critiques to make. I just can't have those critiques. I'm basing this solely just as someone who just walked in there. And the other place that I'm coming from in this little video is I already recorded this thing by myself. It was about 15 minutes long. And by around the 50-minute mark, I was like, ah, shoot, I screwed up. I said the wrong thing. Let me just cut here and go back and redo it. Why is the red light not on? I know I hit it. I remember hitting the record button, and then I went into the little video mode for the camera, and there is a 1/4 second long clip of me just going, boop, boop. So I double tapped it. Yeah. I've never done that. I double tapped the damn video. So that's why I had to pull Michelle in for this. Because I ain't gonna just say the exact same crap over again. It will drive me nuts. So I need to actually tell it to someone to make it somehow different for me.
I didn't see this movie, and like I said, I didn't even realize it was a sequel.
Yeah.
It's like, or maybe like I heard of Kingsman, but it just didn't. It just didn't catch my interest.
You're not big on spy films, and
no, not really. Which is funny because my dad is a huge James Bond fan.
Maybe that's why you're not big on spy films. So yeah, okay, so all that's out of the way. I just had to let you guys know. If I'm a little bit edgy and punchy in this thing, it's because I'm still kind of like, God damn it, how did I fucking do that? God damn. Alright, so let's get into this actual thing. Since you don't know about the first one, again, I didn't see it, but I do basically know what happened in it. It stars this kid, Eggsy, who is basically, I don't know what the correct term is, but like, a British hooligan of sorts? A chav? Is that what it is? Yeah. So basically, he's kind of one of those street hooligans, but he got recruited into this secret service called the Kingsman, and they're like super high-tech, super stylish James Bond.
Yeah.
They're under the cover of owning a tailor shop, but that tailor shop is actually a big, high-grade, super high-tech base. Mm-hmm. And all their weapons kind of like go along with like their clothing and such. Like their umbrellas are like riot shields, but you can see through them on your side, so you can like see all the opponents while you're shooting them. So it's like, you know, cool stuff like that. Their glasses let them communicate to each other. But in the last film, his mentor, Harry, was shot in the face and died at the end of that one. So now he has taken over his handle of Galahad. All the members of the Kingsmen are named after members of King Arthur's court. This thing opens up with him. But that's pretty much everything that I knew about the last one. That's pretty much it. So moving into this one, it opens up with the villain from the last film walking up to him as he's coming out of the shop, and now he's got a robot arm, and they get into this huge fight in this car, and so it's just like insane right off the bat.
Wow.
And I have to go ahead and say that because so many people have been complaining about this film, saying, yeah, the last one, it had crazy stuff in there, but it all made sense. This one's just throwing crazy stuff in your face as soon as you get there. And I like this film more than most of the other critics out there, and I think one of the reasons I like it more than most of the other people is, since I couldn't compare it to the last film, to me, this is all I know of this universe. It's just crazy right off the bat. This thing starts off with a giant fight with a guy with a robot arm, in which they're driving through the streets of London, getting into crashes, guys are behind them with like turret guns, like chasing them down in their cars, and then after that, he has to then go to dinner with his girlfriend's parents. His girlfriend is a princess, and her parents are the king and queen. So again, that's something that was in the last film, but when you just throw it into my face right after dude fighting guy with robot arm, I'm like, okay, and now he's dating a princess, and he's talking to the king and queen. I'm just kind of like, dude, I think most of the people who went into this thing, their level of crazy was around here. Me, I started down here and then immediately went up here. I was like, all right, this is what I'm getting. Fine, I'll go with this. Whatever. So I think that's one of the reasons why I'm way more positive on this film. And I do want to go back and see the first one because everybody keeps telling me that it's better. And like I said, I actually kind of enjoyed this one. So I was like, all right, I'll check it out. But as he is there at dinner, he's doing that thing where he's got his special high-tech glasses on and the king's like quizzing him on all these things. And he's got his like tech friend there on the other side, like typing answers into the glasses. And the moment that happens, you know something's gonna go wrong, and he's gonna start yelling at the guy, at the tech guy, and then like all of a sudden, like the king is gonna be like, "Oh, well, I never. Why are you saying these things to me?" And that happens, but we never see the ramifications of it. And I was like, he's trying to impress his girlfriend's parents, and he totally screws up because of like that misunderstanding that we all saw coming a mile away. But then you never see the ramifications afterwards from it, so that was kind of weird. But the reason we never see the ramifications of it is because he is talking to, she's not the actual tech person that he's talking to. She is actually another spy. They do have a tech expert whose name is Merlin, but he wasn't the one he was talking to. However, he gets interrupted because her entire house gets blown up, as does his house, including his dog, which fuck you movie for doing that. You know, they have this little pug in there, and it's like the pug was a big thing from the last film apparently, and then bam, pug is just gone. Like, I kept waiting for that pug to pop back up. No, they just buy a new dog at one point in this film. I was like,
no, it should have came back as a cyborg, just
cyborg
like
dog, yeah,
with like a robot arm or something like that.
Robot tail. Oh, it's got that little like pug curl tail, so it can like latch onto stuff and then swing. I'd see that movie. We just wrote a better pug movie than The Nut Job 2. So the girl he's talking to dies. His house and his friend who's inside, their dog, they die. All the other Kingsmen are dead. The only ones who are left is Eggsy because he wasn't at home, and Merlin because he was like the tech guy and they didn't consider the tech guy to be special at all. So they're the only ones left at all. And again, I know so many people who were fans of the last one who were immediately like, go fuck yourself movie, you just killed everyone from the last one. It's like, yeah, that's a legit thing to be mad about.
Yeah.
I'd be very pissed, but I have no connection to any of them. So again, just speaking as the guy who this was his first time going into the film, it didn't really bug me that much. I mean, I feel bad for you guys, but I'm not in that boat with you. So,
sucks to be you.
Yes. Sorry, man. What can I say? I don't know these people. But yeah, so they then go, okay, well, there's a doomsday protocol for in case this thing happens, which I love that these guys are like the most like stereotypical British characters you could imagine.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what threw me off about the Kingsman. It's like, I don't care about these like snobby proper.
You thought it was going to be like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy?
Pretty much.
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy would have been way better if it was like Kingsman. There, I said it. But yeah, I love it so British because like when Eggsy sees Merlin, like he's like, how could this happen? They're all dead. They killed all of them. And then Merlin goes, there's a doomsday protocol. we have to go and work it out. And then, and only then, after we have seen this all through, can you shed one tear in private. And I was like, God damn, that's the most stiff upper lip I've ever seen. Like, you're allowed to cry once, alone, when no one can see you. It's like, fuck, that's British. So, that's kind of where, again, this is what I'm getting right in my face at the beginning of this thing. But they go to the secret vault, they open it up, and all that's in there is a bottle of whiskey that says Statesman on it. And they're like, that's it. There's no instructions or anything. So they just start drinking this thing, and they get completely hammered on it. But when they are completely done with the whiskey, they can see the back of the label. And on the back of the label, it says, made in Kentucky. And the K in Kentucky has the Kingsman logo on there. So they're like, all right, we're going to Kentucky. Like, this was the hint. They go there, they then break into the Statesman, like the Statesman's headquarters is just a giant whiskey distillery. Like, it's just a giant brewery, that's all it is. But they're able to sneak off the tour, go to the secret compartment, and they start looking around inside there. Then Cowboy Channing Tatum comes in, and he's just like, my mama always said us Southerners got politeness from the British. And I thought, ain't that a shame? You didn't save none of it for yourselves. And it's like, he's just, I didn't know he could do a Southern accent, so I was like, all right, I gotta give him that. Channing Tatum is actually constantly proving me wrong about his acting abilities. He's actually turned into a pretty decent guy. But he comes in there, and they get into a fight, and after they beat him up, they take them into like the Statesman's secret underground headquarters, which is this high-tech lab, and then they realize, oh, these guys are part of our cousins across the pond. Mm-hmm. They're part of the Kingsmen, so they decide to start working together, and Jeff Bridges is the head of this facility. And like I said, the Kingsmen, all of them are named after members of King Arthur's court. All the statesmen, I was like, okay, the American version of that, founding fathers, famous cowboys, because they're all like super cowboy stereotypes. But again, I was like, all right, the Kingsmen are super British stereotypes. I was like, I'm not going to complain about that. Whatever. Although there is one moment in which they go, you're going to be working with our New York boy. And I was like, oh, it's going to be a New York stereotype. No, it's just a cowboy in New York. And I was like,
okay.
All right, that seems like a missed opportunity, but whatever. All right, fine.
It's like, apparently the British think that everyone in America is a bunch of rednecks.
I'm not going to dispute it. All right. But no, it was just kind of like, I know some people are like, these guys are so cartoonish. And to me, I was like, yeah, they are cartoonish. But I think the Kingsmen are pretty cartoonish too, so I'm not really complaining. But so they find out that they're, basically on the same side. They start working together. But as I said, I kept thinking, okay, well, all these guys are going to be named after like founding fathers, cowboys, like something like that. They're all named after brands of alcohol. Like, Channing Tatum is tequila, Jeff Bridges is champagne, Halle Berry is their tech person, and she is ginger ale. I was like, okay, that seems, it's kind of supposed to be kind of an insult that's not an actual alcohol for her.
Oh, like, so she's not like an actual member?
Because she's like the tech person, she's not a field agent. It's like, okay. But the New York person, who I forget who the actor is, but might as well be time-traveling Burt Reynolds, because he was supposed to just be playing Burt Reynolds from the 70s. He is Whiskey, and he's the one who then has to team up with Eggsy to go out there on this mission. And there's some people at this point going, you're missing one major part of the story. I'll get back to that in a moment, because honestly, it's not fucking important for another half hour of this film. But he has to team up with her, and they find out that the guy who attacked Eggsy at the beginning of this film, he has a girlfriend, and she's going to be at this music festival, and they have to then go to this film, and this was the moment that they didn't have to go to this festival, and this is the moment that so many people dropped off this film. Like, so many people were like, go fuck yourself movie. In fact, I have a couple of coworkers who went and saw this early. They went to a critic screening of it, and one of them came back to me and was like, yeah, man, I wanted to enjoy it, but it was just so sexist. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah, I didn't really realize it until one particular shot. And I won't say what shot, but I'll see if you figure out what it is. Everyone in that fucking theater knows what shot it was, because they have to plant a tracking device on her.
It's in her cleavage?
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
They have to plant a tracking device on her. The tracking device looks like a condom, but it's the size of your finger. He has to slip it on his finger, and he was like, yeah, we gotta fit this into her mucous membrane. And I was like, and he goes, mucus? So what, I just have to shove it up her nose? He goes, think again, hombre. And he's like, oh no. And so then basically he has to go and have sex with her, and it follows his finger all the way down.
Oh.
Yeah, it was really like I said, I like Mark Millar when he's restrained. I like Mark Millar when someone comes in and goes, that's good, that's good, that's good. Stop! Mark Millar sometimes tries to do that himself, but ever since he became an independent guy, he really is the only one in control of that, and sometimes he doesn't know when to stop. This was the moment which I was like, okay, this film has been stupid, but I've been able to roll with it. This is really stupid. This is really dumb. So, and, you know, a lot of people out there, like I said, have been saying that this film is pretty sexist. It's one of those things where I'm like, all right, is it sexist, or is it one of those things where it's like, it's just a film for dude bros who just want to see guys with guns going out there making out with hot chicks? And it's one of those things where it's like,
But aren't those kind of movies sexist anyhow?
Well, it's one of those things where it's like, it's sexist if that's what all of Hollywood is. And sadly, that is a very large chunk of Hollywood. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, but I've always said everybody out there is allowed to have something for them. So it'd be kind of hypocritical for me to come in here and look at the dude bros and go like, yeah, you're not allowed to have anything for you. It's like, well, if this is the one movie that does something stupid like this year, I'll let it slide. Problem is, I don't think it's gonna be the one movie that does something stupid like that this year. So it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not gonna get into the debate about whether or not this is sexist. I'll just say, if you say it's sexist, you certainly have the ammunition for that argument. I'm not going to dispute it. But so he does that. They then find where they're at, and this is the point in which I should explain who the villain is. The villain of this thing is played by Julianne Moore, and she is this woman named Poppy, and she is the biggest drug dealer in the entire world. She deals everything that is illegal. And
I get it, Poppy.
Yeah, Poppy seeds, yeah. Yeah, this film ain't subtle. But she is such a weird character, because she has to hide out in, like, the rainforest. Like, she is in, like, almost like a temple out in the rainforest.
She grew marijuana plants and everything.
She does everything. Heroin, marijuana, cocaine. Like she said, she does everything. But she's out there in this jungle. However, her secret base in the middle of this temple, in the middle of this jungle, is all 50s themed. She has a 1950s style diner, a 1950s style movie theater, a beauty salon. Like she's got like a 1950s looking donut shop with the giant donut thing on top, and she's got all these henchmen who have to work in these facilities, or like a robot maid that works in the beauty salon. It's so weird, and her personality is like a 1950s housewife. Like she's the most ruthless drug dealer in the world. Like you see her actually commanding one of her soldiers to kill his friend and shove him into a meat grinder, at which point she then cooks the meat and makes him eat it. So it's like, okay, she's bloodthirsty and terrible and awful, but everything she says is like, oh, honey, that's so sweet. Oh, you know what? I think someone's been sneaking into my secret stash, and that's a no-no. Like, stuff like that. It's like, again, this is another one of those times where it's like, if you want to say that that's sexist to be portraying a woman like that, it's like, okay, I can understand that.
I just think that's hysterical.
But yeah, I'm in the camp of like, no, it's just weird.
It's like, I kind of feel like that's how, like, basically it's like saying, oh, women are supposed to act proper, but it's like, I feel like, but like eventually they're gonna snap.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah, because like, you know, I kind of felt like a lot of women in the 50s like were kind of like that. It's like,
also, a lot of women in the 50s were on drugs.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Like a lot of those like June Cleaver from Leave It to Beaver was high as fuck that entire time. Like you guys don't know that. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm wondering if this is commentary on that, because yeah, you guys don't realize that so many of those like housewives that you see in those old like TV shows and like in the old pictures that you see from back then, they were on so many prescription drugs because the husbands were like, well, they're starting to get ideas like free speech. this can't possibly be right. Like, if you just got done watching the most recent season of BoJack Horseman, spoilers for the first 2 episodes of BoJack Horseman this season, but there is a moment in there in which he's seeing, like, what happened to his grandma, and his grandma was, like, upset because her son died in the war, and the dad was like, well, my wife can't possibly be upset. Something is clearly wrong with her. So they lobotomize her, and it's like, yeah, they didn't go that far. They didn't lobotomize women, but it's like, yeah, they would put them on tons of drugs to act this way, to act the way that Julianne Moore is acting this. So I'm like, I don't know if this is just stupid or if it's commentary, which I think describes everything Mark Millar has ever done. But I also think it was just supposed to be contrast of character. Like, I think it was supposed to be like, you would never expect someone who acts like this to be the biggest drug lord in all of America, in the entire world, actually. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. And again, I've seen so many critics out there who'll be like, dude, there's just stupid stuff in here for no reason. Like, why is she so obsessed with the 50s? And why is she acting like a 50s housewife? There's no reason for it. And I was like, yeah, but, you know, again, 2 seconds into this thing, guy was fighting guy with robot arm, and 5 minutes into this thing, it turns out he's dating a princess. So it's one of those things where it's like, again, my bar for what is acceptable levels of crazy in this film was way higher than most people. So I was like, all right, fine, whatever with this. But they have to go, but she's the one who destroyed the Kingsman, and they have to then stop her because it is then revealed that she has laced every single one of her drugs with a poison. And the poison, at first, a blue rash starts appearing on people's bodies. And then people's nerves start twitching out and it forces them to just keep dancing nonstop. Then it results in paralysis until you're so paralyzed that you can't breathe, and then your eyes explode and all your internal organs explode, and like you just start bleeding out every hole in your body. And it's like, okay, well, what do you want for this? Do you want $100 billion? Do you want control of your own nation? What do you want? Like, what do you want to give everybody the cure? She then stops, and this is the moment where I kind of got taken out of it. I haven't heard anybody else complain about this yet, but this is the moment which I got taken out of this thing, because she is then making this speech to everyone all across the world, and she says, Mr. President, I have drones all across the world that will send the antidote out to everyone, and if you want them to have that cure, all you have to do is end the war on drugs. I went, okay. Interesting, but it doesn't stop there. She then goes on and goes, if we ended the war on drugs and legalize heroin, marijuana, cocaine, and all other illegal substances, but then tax them the same way that we do cigarettes and alcohol, it could help to empower America's failing budget right now. And also, it would mean you wouldn't have to put nearly as much money into your over-bloated police system. And it would cause many non-violent offenders who only practice drugs in private to be released from your overcrowded prison system. And I was just like, okay, I know there are people out there who hate whenever I talk about politics when it comes to comics or movies or video games or anything like that. Because I know there are people out there who's like, well, these things shouldn't be political, and I've always been on the side of, fuck you, comics and movies have always been some of the most political forms of media out there. Like, they've always been tools of political commentary. I'm totally fine with you using them as political commentary, but this was a crazy-ass, really damn stupid action film, and then they stop the whole film to turn to you and give you a campaign speech about why you should get rid of the war on drugs. I'm like, again, a little subtlety goes a long way in this thing. Like, if you made it clear to me that's what this was going to be about early on, cool, fine, I'm with you. But you just stopped the whole movie to turn to us and go, guess what? This is what this movie is now about. And I was like, it's way too late to make this what this movie is about.
Well, it's like you said, this movie has no idea what subtlety is.
Yeah, it's like, dude, it's too late into this film to introduce this thing. I was like, and also, I try to never share my personal politics on this channel, because I'm like, well, I want to make sure that everybody out there can enjoy it. But for this particular instance, I do need to share my personal politics because it does relate to how I feel about this thing. I looked at her in that moment like, I'm sorry, is she supposed to be the villain?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm kind of on your side. Like, heroin I don't know about, but like everything else is like, all right, let's, can we start with marijuana and then maybe just slowly move into the other stuff? It's like, This video is not going to get monetized now, thanks to YouTube, but it's like, I'm talking about this fucking movie. You can't talk about this film and not talk about this. And I was like, is she supposed to be, like, I don't want to root against her now at this point. She's evil. She's going to murder all these people across the world, but, I mean...
Or maybe she's only evil in the eyes of society, like, run by men.
It's your fault. Oh, you have no... That's another one of the reasons why I can't really get behind this film being as sexist as people say it is, because I'm like, there is commentary about men fucking up the planet in here. It's like, there is that commentary to be made about this film as well, because after that, it then cuts to the president, and the president has got 2 advisors. One is a man, one is a woman, and the woman is like, Mr. President, we need to think about this. We need to understand that many Americans' lives are in danger. People are going to be rioting. People are going to be panicking about this, and we need to think about all those who are in danger. And the president goes, let her know we're going to do what she says. And she goes, oh, thank you, Mr. President. This is so brave of you to do something. It's like, whoa, I'm not actually going to do it. I said let her know we're going to do it, so that way people don't panic, people don't riot. We ain't going to actually do it. These are drug offenders. Fuck them. Let them all die. Listen, this is a win-win situation. I stand up to a terrorist. I repeated myself there, so I sound like Foghorn Leghorn with that accent. I say, it makes it look like I'm standing up to this terrorist, and then a bunch of drug users die. Win-win situation for us. And like the woman is like, oh my God, you're horrible. And the man advisor was like, And I was like, yeah, there is commentary to be made about this in here. But then, like, from there, like, you start seeing other people throughout this film start getting that blue rash on them. Like, Channing Tatum, I feel so bad for anybody who went into this film like, yeah, Channing Tatum, join the Kingsman, this is gonna be awesome. Channing Tatum is in here for, like, 3 scenes. And in that 3rd scene, they go, what's that on your neck? And he goes, oh, it's a blue rash. I don't know why I got that all of a sudden. And then, like, after that, he then just goes into like a facility where they're studying him after this, and then they make the announcement about what the blue rash is. And then after that, there's like a scene of him dancing in his underwear, and then after that, they just put him in a freezer. They literally freeze him, and he's just sitting there the rest of the film. I'm like, they advertised Channing Tatum like he's 50% of this film. He is, you've seen almost all the Channing Tatum scenes in this film. So yeah, they did Channing wrong in this movie. But yeah, I get why they would do it to him too. And like, you know, you see like one of Eggsy's friends back in London, he's getting the blue rash. Later on in the film, the princess calls him up and she's got the blue rash on her face. And then there comes a moment in which the woman advisor to the president, like she keeps trying to go like, all these people are going to die, you can't let them all die. Many of these people, they're innocent. And then she gets the blue rash on her face, and she then just stops and goes, listen, I work 20 hours a day for you, 7 days a week. Maybe some people can do that without any help, but some of us just need that little extra boost to get through the day. I'm not a violent offender. I am not hurting anyone. I'm innocent. And the president just goes, not that innocent. And like they grab her and take her to this stadium where they told all the people with the blue rash to go to get the cure. They take her there to this facility, and then it's revealed everyone inside the stadium, they're just putting them in cages and then stacking the cages on top of each other like freaking Tetris blocks. So yeah, it's just a giant stadium just piled high of like tiny prison cells full of these people with the blue rashes. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is, again, it's just so weird to me that it's like, it's still kind of being very cartoony with like, okay, this entire stadium filled with these giant, well, blocks of people. But at the same time, and then, you know, we'll cut back to like Channing Tatum dancing in his underwear while all this is going around. It's supposed to be very dramatic, but at the same time, it's like, you're tackling some really hard-hitting political issues in here.
Yeah.
It's really weird, and I haven't heard anybody complain about this. I've heard them complain about everything else in this film, but not about this. And I was talking to one of my coworkers about it, and they goes, well, the first film was really political too. The villain was just trying to stop global warming. And I was like, okay.
It's like, are you sure the Kingsmen are the good guys?
Yeah,
like...
which that's the thing. I need to now go back and watch that first one, because like I know Millar. Mark Millar is a super liberal guy. I know he's not going to make the villain some guy trying to stop global warming, unless kind of like in this film, where it's like, yeah, but the people trying to stop him are just as bad. Like, the president is more of a villain in here than Poppy is. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, shoot, I really need to go back and see this first one and see how he handled that issue. Because I want to know if they tackled that issue more evenly. Because like I said, my problem isn't that they tackled this issue, it's that crazy, stop the whole film to turn to the camera and make a very serious argument about the war on drugs. I was like, the fuck did this just come from? Jesus.
It's like those G.I. Joe cartoons where they had the PSAs at the end.
I have heard so many people comparing this thing to G.I. Joe, and I totally see it. I mean, the statesmen fight with electric lassos, and they're all cowboys. It's like, yeah, okay, this is just G.I. Joe. I totally get that. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, they at least waited until the end of the G.I. Joe episode to make the "and now you know" speech. Here, they stopped the whole thing in the middle to make that speech. And you've got that in your mind throughout the rest of it. But it's like, at the same time, it's like, I do think that they did some cool stuff there. Like I said, the fact that a lot of the people you know in this film start getting that blue rash and you weren't expecting it, it makes you go, oh shoot, that, like, that's the message of that. Is it's basically supposed to go, yeah man, all people who use drugs aren't violent offenders. A lot of them just do it in private and you would never even know it because, hey man, it's just them. They enjoy it. What does it matter to you? This is their thing. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of what they're doing with this. So I was like, all right, I kind of understand it. I kind of have to applaud you for it. It's just so fucking weird. Also, yeah, like I said, I feel bad about Channing Tatum because they freeze him and they just put him like literally on an ice cube bed, and that's him for the rest of the film. Just every now and then it cuts back to him. That's it.
Like, are they gonna thaw him out when they find the cure?
It's at the end of it. Yeah, they were like, we'll wait until we find a cure or something. Although I gotta say, jumping ahead a little bit to the end of this thing, when they actually do release the antidote across the world, I thought the drones were going to like carry it like a spray, like
yeah,
make
like a crop testing.
Yeah, like make a cloud all over the place. No, the drones specifically can find the people who are infected with this, and then it just drops off a little vial of this thing. I was like, you do know stage 3 is total paralysis, right? Meaning your plan to cure them only works if every single person who is frozen solid also has somebody who is standing there at all times next to them ready to give them the antidote in case it arrives. Do you know how many people still die at the end of this film because they just lived by themselves when this thing kicked in and weren't able to make it to a hospital in time? Like,
is that also more social commentary?
No, because it doesn't come up at all. It's just this film being stupid.
Because that would be like a very good example of how fucked up the healthcare system is.
I was about to say, like, you could have tackled that. And it's like, again, I know people out there are like, well, I don't like when politics come into stuff. This film is already super political halfway through, so I was like, you might as well just throw every fucking thing in there. But it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, man, this is weird that you just, like, this is just a stupid plan. Like, this is one of those things where it's like, hooray, we saved the day. And they never, like, stop to acknowledge the fact that this doesn't actually work the way that you think it does. I was like, there's a lot of shit in here like that. But yeah, but here's the thing. This is the thing that I have not mentioned at all throughout this. I mentioned that at the end of the last film, his mentor Harry died. He was shot like right in the eye. It is then revealed that the statesman picked up his transmission right after he died, flew in there, and they have a chemical designed to like fill in like all the stuff in your brain that gets like whenever
blown up.
It gets blown up basically, and they can then heal you up. You just come back with a little amnesia and you're not totally coordinated yet. It's revealed that he's still alive. It's revealed that the statesmen have been keeping him there. He just has no memory of who he is. So there's a large chunk of this film where they have to go in and re-jog his memories. Then after they re-jog his memories, he's like, all right, well, I'm going to go out there and fight with you guys again. He's like, oh, it's going to be great. But then he can't like get his coordination down. Like he's not going to fight anymore. So that then becomes a subplot all throughout this thing. And then there comes a moment in which Whiskey, he accidentally drops one of the antidotes that they were able to grab. And Harry, whatever his name is, Original Galahad, he then looks at him and shoots him in the head, and he goes, he was clearly working for their side. He was clearly trying to like destroy this antidote that we got. And then we have to have our hero go, no, you clearly still aren't right in the head. Why did we have to bring you on this mission yet? You clearly weren't ready yet. Then the statesmen come in, they patch up Whiskey, and Whiskey then goes off to confront them. And it's like, yeah, he very clearly is working for the villain. But there is kind of a nice twist there towards the end where it's revealed Whiskey isn't working for the villain. He is working for the statesman. However, his wife was killed by 2 meth heads. So he's like, yeah, fuck all the drug users. I want them all to die. Like, he is also on the side of, like, the president in this one. And when he's like, yeah, no, she's terrible and we should stop her. We've stopped her, now let all those drug users die. Like, that's, like, he wanted to stop her not for killing the drug users, but just for peddling drugs to begin with. So, like, okay, well, it's interesting that he isn't on the villain side, but he is still a villain. I kind of dug that part of it. However, this all leads up to, like, the big final battle with Poppy. And Poppy just goes down easily. Like, they go in there, they take out her guards. The only real threat is that she has that one guy who has the robot arm, but they're able to, like, hack into his arm and beat him up and fight him. So that's, alright, fine. That wasn't really that climactic of a thing. But she also has 2 robot dogs. Which, again, I know people have been complaining about because they said, like, that's just too stupid and it doesn't match the tone of the rest of the film. I'm like, it matches the tone of the rest of this film perfectly, in my opinion. It just doesn't match the tone of the last film that you guys saw. But again, I didn't see it. So I didn't have a problem with robot dogs because they introduced the robot dogs pretty early on, and the first thing we see in this film is dude with robot hands. I'm like, alright, fine, whatever. But the robot dogs being like the final thing they have to fight, it's kind of like, whatever. It's, it's not, it doesn't really have the impact. Like a really big, like, climactic battle with someone else at Poppy's place would have been better, I guess. But one of the things that makes the fight with the robot dog so dumb is that early on in this film, it's revealed that Poppy kidnapped Elton John. And she's been keeping him there to sing for her. And I was like, okay, that's kind of that's a funny one-time joke. And then later on, they bring him back one more just so they could yell out, fuck you. And I was like, all right, you did it twice. That's the end of this running gag. They keep bringing him back over and over. And he's the thing that saves the day from the robot dogs at the end. Like, he has this big moment where he comes in and he's the thing saving them from the robot dogs. And they have a thank you, Elton John moment. I was like, you ruined it. You had a good running gag. You ruined it. You did too many times. You made it too big. It's just dumb. Yeah.
Like, how did he save the day? Like,
basically, the robot dogs are programmed to not kill him.
Oh.
So he keeps staying in front of them while they attack from behind him.
Like, I thought he would, like, perform and, like, the robot dogs would start dancing or something. Or
it's not that stupid.
Robot dogs dancing to Crocodile Rock.
Although when the Kingsmen show up to save him, he does go, someone's here for a rescue mission, and he starts playing and goes, Wednesday, 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 and goes, don't you mean Saturday? And goes, what day is it? Wednesday, Wednesday, Wednesday nights are right for fighting. And I was like, alright, and then he like basically sings an entire song while they fight, and I was like, alright, it's, they just rammed that joke into the ground, and it's too bad. But the reason why I waited so long to talk about Harry is because Harry or Henry, I've totally forgotten. Harry, sorry. Previous Galahad. The reason I waited so long to talk about the mentor is he is not important to this at all. And it would have been so better if they kept him dead. And that is coming from a guy who, hey motorcycles. As I was saying, and that is coming from a guy who has no connection to him from the previous film. So it's not even like, oh, they ruined his character. I'm just speaking as a guy who, this is my first introduction to him. He has no like, his entire role in here is to be like a doddering old buffoon who can't get anything right because he's not quite right in the head. And they have to go, no, why did you do this? And I was like, dude, you have just wrecked the pacing of this film completely. And they spent like half an hour trying to get his memories back, and this film is 2.5 hours long. You could have taken everything involving that character out of this film, and it would have gotten this down to a much better length, a much more manageable length. And yeah, there's no real importance. Like, even like at the end, it's not like he comes in and is like, here's the important words of wisdom, and this is the entire reason why I'm in this movie. Eggsy doesn't learn any additional lessons from him. His training was done. He's been an expert spy throughout this entire film. Eggsy really has no character arc in this thing because he was kind of done at the end of the first film. So bringing back his mentor, there's nothing really his mentor adds that is able to add on to Eggsy. And then there's nothing that he really contributes to this thing that would have been resolved by Eggsy just fighting these guys by himself. Or like Eggsy goes in there with Merlin originally. It's Merlin, Eggsy, and Galahad. I'm just going to keep calling him that. They keep going in there. And Merlin dies almost immediately. And he dies in a really stupid way that makes you kind of hate Eggsy. Because Eggsy steps on a landmine. And he's like, don't move, don't move, don't move. And then Merlin shoves him off and steps his foot down there instead. And he's like, it's all right. This is how I go. And then he like just basically draws a couple of the henchmen over towards him and then steps off it and blows them all up at once. I was like, this film would have been so much better if it was just Eggsy and Merlin going there at the end. Because you automatically eliminate one of the three guys who went in there, so it's only two to begin with. Just don't kill him off and you still have the two guys going in there. Or have Eggsy go in there with Channing Tatum. Like, have Channing Tatum, like, not get sick and they go in there and save the day.
Have Channing Tatum do something.
Or have him go in there with Whiskey and he doesn't think that Whiskey is a villain yet. And then at the end, Whiskey turns on, because Whiskey shows up after they have already defeated Julianne Moore, and then they have the whole fight scene with him. So he's the big final boss of the film. I was like, you could have just gone there with Whiskey, because Whiskey wants to kill her and all his henchmen as well. And then, like, at the end of it, after they've done that, when they're about to type in the code to launch all the drones with all the cure, that's when he's like, we're not doing this. You know why? Because fuck them, let them all die. And then you can have that thing. But it's like, yeah, he adds nothing to this film, except to, from what I understand from all the fans of the first film, basically ruin his character from the first film. Because I've always said this thing, you know what people don't want to see from their heroes? Them being incompetent boobs. No one wants to see this really cool character come back and now he can't do the cool things from the previous film. No one wants to see that. So I totally understand people being upset with that. And just speaking as a guy who has not seen the first film, yeah man, he adds nothing to this movie. It's really pathetic. Like, I knew people who, when they saw him in the trailers and he had the eye patch on, they was like, he's got an evil twin. That is so lame. That is one of the worst plot devices ever. It's gonna be so cheap doing that. Shit, man, evil twin would have been better than what they're doing this. Evil twin would have been a thing. Evil twin would have been a thing that Eggsy has to deal with. Oh no, my mentor, he looks just like him, but he's not him. I have to overcome this. It's like, no, there's none of that. Like, Eggsy doesn't learn anything new from his mentor coming back. His mentor coming back doesn't really add anything onto this. Yeah, man, there's no purpose for that. It's dumb. So yeah, that is a huge problem with this film. But, as I said, I didn't have a problem with it being as stupid as people did. Because to me, I was like, hey man, this is stupid right from the get-go. I'm fine with that. And the action is damn good in here. I gotta give this film that. The action, they don't cut away from anything. They do crazy camera moves where the camera is like zooming around with every single thing. Like, you throw a punch, the camera zooms to the punch, then zooms around the other person's face as they move around it. Like, clearly they're not actually doing these fight scenes. Clearly it's all like CG fighting, but it's damn good CG fighting. Like, it looks like really accurate. Like, it looks like they're actually doing it. It does not look like these are CG models just with the actors' faces plastered on. Like,
that's a good thing to hear, especially after like hearing you talk about like bad choreographed fighting with lots of cuts.
All I could think was they need to get this director for some Marvel films. As much as I love the Marvel films, you guys know me, I'm a Marvel fanboy through and through. I will gladly admit, hand-to-hand fighting in the Marvel films is crap. Like, even in their best hand-to-hand fighting moments, it's 1,000 cuts just going back and forth because, like, yeah, these people can't actually fight. Here, these actors can't actually fight. But they use CGI to make it look like they fucking could, so like, alright, damn. And like, anytime they do a flip on a character, the camera then flips around with them, and it's like, honestly, this big giant fight scene of like them throwing weapons around, jumping all over the place, I think it might have been just like one cut. And of course, it's not one actual cut, because none of it's actually happening, but it looked like it actually was happening, and it looked damn cool. So yeah, the action is really damn good in this. I was able to accept the crazy levels that it goes to. I actually did really enjoy a lot of the characters in here. And even though the political stuff in there, it's jarring that it comes out of nowhere and it doesn't match the crazy ass tone of this film, there's some stuff they do with it that I'm like, it's actually kind of interesting that you say, like, all right, I'm intrigued enough to keep watching this. But yeah, 2.5 hours, that need to be edited down, and what makes it worse is that you can point to one factor, the mentor returning, and take that entirely out of this, and bam, you've got it down to 2 hours solid. But yeah, I'd still recommend it for people. I don't actually know if I'm going to do a review of this, because I am currently at the moment trying to front load the crap out of October, because October is going to be a big month for reviews on this channel. But if I had to give it a score, 7 out of 10, I guess. So, yay. But yeah, maybe one day I'll go back and watch the first one, because I did enjoy this, and people keep saying the first one's better, so alright. But thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to see more post-Geekout reactions or actual reviews from us, then make sure that you click that subscribe button, and you can also always follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and Tumblr, at Professor Thorgy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, goddamn it, the battery ran out. No, I'm kidding.